Hello and welcome to Patched. I'm your host, Paul James. Today I'm joined by Matto Phillips and Matto Phillips alone. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. Damo's off again. He's off on another adventure to find some cursed pirate gold.
Yeah, right. We're leaning the price now. I can get around that. That's cool. I was
He's
instantly trying to
already
think of Lord of the Rings style things, and I'm off on a new adventure. Something along those lines. And
oh no, because he says that ring's worth a lot of gold. Then we might as well go find the treasure chest that's full of gold.
yeah, fair point. Who knows when he's going to come back? It might be up and down from week to week. He might come in sometimes, and he may not be there for others. We'll roll with the punches until, I don't know, 2030, and he finally gets decent internet. And about the same time, Elder Scrolls 6 will release. Thank you to everyone who kind of tuned in, either on YouTube or the podcast feed to episode 200. It's been good to see some of the comments there and hear from a few people. And I haven't been hit by any Zelda books just yet.
Oh yeah.
I don't.
Well, it's not gonna happen now. He's not here.
Well, yeah, but he can still see us in the real world. He still only lives 10 minutes up the road.
I'm pretty sure he's not going to be walking around with his Zelda books.
He'll drive over and flog me. He might even come in and grab mine and beat the shit out of me.
So he might come through that door right now.
Just off camera, they're down there anyway. So you could just use mine and beat the shit out of me. That would be some sort of irony. Anyway, it was a milestone for us last week. It's been a milestone for both the PS5 and the Xbox Series also in this past week, with both having celebrated their first year in the market. I think the 10th for the 10th of November for the Xbox and the 12th for the PS5. So congratulations to both Microsoft and Sony in terms of the success they've had so far. But we're going to kind of reflect a little bit on both platforms, how that first year's gone, what's worked, what hasn't, and then just cast our minds forward a little bit to what's to come for both over the next 12 months. Matto, you're exclusively owning an Xbox. So we'll start with Xbox so that we can both really kind of get this ball rolling. We both got an Xbox Series X. How did you find this first? I suppose you didn't have it from day one, but you've seen everything that's kind of gone on over the course of the year. So how did you find the first year of the Xbox Series X/S?
I would say yes, they released a console, but let's be honest here. The most exciting thing of this whole year of what Xbox has released was a fridge.
Well, they still haven't released it yet, and it's not going to come out until next year.
Announced was a fridge.
Oh yeah, the biggest highlight is absolutely the fridge.
But I say games-wise, there hasn't been a lot exclusively. There's only been, well, you can say Death's Door. I mean, that was.
No, we can throw Death's Door out now. It's PlayStation next week, as of when this goes live. So
Psychonauts 2. That's the only one I can think of.
So I'd actually argue that they've had a pretty good first year. Now, we just discussed this before we started recording. This is a very weird limbo period to be recording this episode and talking about Xbox because tomorrow they're celebrating the whole platform, the whole Xbox brand's 20th anniversary, and it seems pretty likely that Halo multiplayer is potentially going to go live that same day. You'll obviously know the answer to that by the time this episode goes live, so feel free to not shout and scream at how wrong we are. But
I thought you'll talk to me for a second. Like,
no, you, the audience.
It's like, what? Hey, not me. No.
Don't get in the comments and rip us a new one. But it's still. I mean, I'm obviously a PlayStation fanboy, and we'll talk about the PlayStation side of things soon. But Xbox had a pretty damn good year. Between they had Psychonauts, Forza's the highest rated game of the entire year. In terms of review scores, it's the highest rated game of the year, which is kind of incredible for a racing or driving game to do that. So
cactuses. That's what it is.
Look, it's pretty good, and the kangaroo hopping and all those sort of things. So I'm loving my time with Forza, and maybe that says everything about it because I'm not a racing, driving car game person at all.
Yeah, me either.
And yet, I just jump in the car and off I go.
Yeah, it's like just not even follow the road, just go off road and not care.
And pretend like it was an accident, that I meant going off road as well.
Try to be like an action hero and just instead of going on the road, just go over the mountain.
Yeah.
And just fly over
get some
and land.
Serious hang time. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah. But the one thing I will give Xbox credit for, I think this is like the first time in, let's say, 2 console generations, there has not been a major problem. No ring of deaths, no overheating, except for the stupid vape thing, but that was a load of crap. We all know that.
Yeah, people trying to scare us.
Yep. There was something else that was wrong too. No Connect. They didn't give us any Connect rubbish.
Thank God.
I think they learned their lesson from last time.
Yeah, it's dead.
Yeah. Thank goodness for that.
And
That's
even
all
little
Rare's
things, and I don't
games.
know
All
if
Rare's
you've heard
work.
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard the rumblings recently, but there's even a lot of talk that you remember 1 versus 100. First, it was a game show first and foremost, but there was also a video game version on Xbox. It was hugely popular. Apparently, that's coming back.
Oh, really?
Which we might even know an answer about that by now as well. You know, by the time this episode goes live. But like, they're just all the things that people have been asking for. And I know we don't necessarily hear a huge amount about 1 versus 100, but there's a big audience out there that's just like it was a good family sort of thing. You know, that people would just jump on for half an hour every single night or whatever. They're hitting all the right notes. Hell, you know, they've announced Perfect Dark's coming back. They're giving us pretty regular updates about what's to come. They're still, you know, we're starting to see fruit from the whole Bethesda situation, even despite the fact that, you know, obviously things like Deathloop is still exclusively on PlayStation because of old commitments. They're still pumping out old Bethesda titles on Game Pass. You can go and get Morrowind just whenever you want. There's, you know, and dive into a whole bunch of old Bethesda titles.
Doom.
Obviously the Doom titles, all that sort of stuff. Like, they're doing a really, really good job of, while they haven't yet been able to deliver a Bethesda exclusive to Xbox, and obviously they are, like, they've outlined what some of these games are going to be. I've just gone blank on the name of it, but the vampire thing that they announced at the end of the E3 conference was kind of the.
I've gone blank too.
Yeah,
I think we did. To be honest, I don't think either of us really cared about it. It's like,
well,
yep. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it's not 100% my sort of game, but it did look, you know, kind of cool for what it was. Like, I struggle to argue with that. Like, they've just announced some really good games, and that's, I guess, all you can really ask for at the end of the day. I'm just quickly trying to do some diving to find out what that Bethesda game was.
Then you could also say as well that EA games as well on Games Pass.
Yeah.
Not the new release ones, but
Redfall's the game.
Redfall. There we go.
And then, you know, they dropped a window for that as well. Like they said, that's, I mean, US summer, so our winter next year. They've already dated Starfield for next year, 11/11/22. And in a recent interview, Todd Howard was like, you know, it was with IGN and Ryan McCaffrey saying, you know, just we'll put it in pencil. And he's like, no, like ink, like this is the date, which I like how decisive that is. They're doing some cool stuff. Like, the acquisition's starting to pay off, and then there's Obsidian, who are just continuing to kick goals, and even little legs that come out. Yeah.
Whatever happened to Grounded? Is that still in?
Yeah, it's still going. Like, that's still in early access, and it's apparently still doing very well, and people are really enjoying it. Like, there's nothing really bad to speak about it. They just keep kicking goals on the software side. Like, it's going to take a while for it to pay off as these games start to roll out, but I can't really question it, which is I guess if you're Xbox and fans, or even people on the other side of the fence, you know, the most hardcore Sony or Nintendo fans that won't even buy your console, if hopefully they're looking at it and going, well, okay, sure, like, I'm still very happy with what I've got, but the one big criticism was that Xbox doesn't have games and exclusive games, and they're starting to get them. So you're starting to run out of reasons not to jump into the family, especially considering all you need to do is, well, you don't even need to buy the box anymore. If you've got a decent PC, you're good. Oh, Age of Empires, by the way, that's another game that's come out.
Oh, yeah.
It's obviously not on the Xbox side, but it's through Game Pass.
With the serial that's out as well.
Yeah, they did the serial too.
Great.
Like, they're making it very, very hard for people to ignore them. Even Flight Sim came to Xbox this year after the success that it had in 2020. Like, they're giving people everything, anything, and they're picking up really good titles on Game Pass too.
I think old Phil Spencer's learned to don't do what Don did, or whatever his name was.
Yeah, Don Matrick.
And that's what he's completely done. He's just gone, right, this is what we're going to do. And everyone probably thought that's the stupidest thing you've ever heard. And have a look at it now.
Yeah.
Who can say that, hey, Remember when those fans made fun of our Xbox Series X and said it looked like a fridge? Well, guess what? We made a fridge.
Yeah, look, to turn little optical sort of punchline into an actual product that people are frothing at the mouth to get their hands on, it's a pretty good effort. Like, as soon as it's available out here, and obviously Australia's not one of the regions they're starting with, but when that second wave or whatever comes along, like, I'm locking that thing down. It's going to go right here, and I'm just going to be able to crack it open and grab whatever at any given point. I don't know if that's necessarily a safety hazard having it there, but I'll work out a good spot. And it's going to go down a treat. The next 12 months, let's ignore the Halo news that may or may not have happened, and the fact that Halo itself is 2-3 weeks away. What are you expecting them to kind of do over the next 12 months? Where can they go? What can they improve on?
Oh, that's a tough one. I would say, obviously, more first-party games.
Actually, start releasing them.
Yeah, or just show previews of them, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Just to see what those studios they purchased
are actually doing.
Yeah.
Did you, and this is not a team they purchased, this is one they built from the inside, but were you a bit concerned about the Coalition when they announced that they're working with Crystal Dynamics on Perfect Dark? Like, that they pulled Crystal Dynamics in to help out? Did that worry you at all? Considering this is the team that they, and look, they may be eating their words a little bit or regretted even saying it at the time, but they dubbed the Coalition as a quadruple A, 4A team making a 4A game, not the standard triple A. Like this is the best sort of highest standards, blah 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 blah. And then they're asking for help from another team. Like, does that worry you at all?
Wait, isn't the Coalition the ones that did?
Sorry,
Gears of War?
Not Coalition.
I was gonna say, because they're not very triple A, quadruple A games. They're triple A, but they're sort of very always panicking.
The initiative. Sorry, that's the name I was looking for. Yeah, I mean, like they're the quadruple A team, and then they got Crystal Dynamics in to help out with Perfect Dark. Like, did that worry you at all?
What, is it a first-person shooter or a third-person shooter?
Well, I don't know, but that does say a little bit about maybe the project, because
Crystal Dynamics. I was to say they made Tomb Raider,
and even Avengers is the third-person game, despite its flaws.
Yeah, I say it's a bit weird because I don't know. Wouldn't you get a? Oh, then again, I mean, you have a look at Rare back in the day. They never made a first-person shooter. Look how that worked out for them.
Well, they nailed GoldenEye and the original Perfect Dark in the first place, but.
Or maybe they need to get.
It's a weird one. Like, they've got.
Yeah.
They're friendly. Like, the head of the initiative used to work at Crystal Dynamics, so he had the networks. Like, I could understand how it might have happened, but I don't understand why it needed to happen.
Or maybe they just want a team that knows action adventure games.
Yeah.
That's not boring. Or well, then again, they did make the Avengers, and that was
shit house.
Shit, yeah.
Yeah.
But Tomb Raider, on the other hand,
Tomb Raider's amazing.
So maybe they can learn from that. Maybe because they know how to.
They're walking through the Crystal Dynamics offices and going, okay, what'd you work on? Tick the box. Did you work on Tomb Raider? Did you work on Avengers? Did you work on both? Anyone who just ticks Avengers.
Like, put your hand up if you only worked on Avengers. Out you go.
Great, get out.
Right, Tomb Raider team.
You're only working on whatever Crystal Dynamics is doing. You're not working on our thing. We don't want you. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one. But yeah, you're right. We need to start seeing these games. A few of them need to start dropping. It is a good start with Halo, Forza, and Psychonauts and everything we've had this year, but they need to start rolling out.
I need more.
The less obvious things, the new IPs, the things that are coming from the teams that you've bought, which is kind of important as well.
Something that we haven't seen or you haven't told us about yet.
Yeah.
Surprise us.
I mean, we're jumping to PlayStation, or I'm jumping to PlayStation a little bit early there, but PlayStation bought Insomniac while Xbox bought a million different studios. Obviously, PlayStation bought more than just Insomniac, but Insomniac has put out 3 games since they were bought, or 4, I guess technically. Spider-Man, the remaster, Miles Morales, and Ratchet and Clank. There's been nothing outside of Psychonauts from the teams that Xbox bought, and Psychonauts still came to PlayStation because of the old business deal. And Insomniac have already announced their next 2 games as well, in Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine, with like release years that they've specified too. Like they're now, admittedly, Insomniac is one of the best developers in the world and has been for a long, long time. But you'd like to think that you would have seen a little bit more from those studios actually starting to hit shelves now. That isn't, still tied up with PlayStation in some way. Because again, that's the one big caveat on Psychonauts. It's one of the best games of the year, but I wouldn't call it an Xbox game. I wouldn't call it a PlayStation game, but it's not an Xbox game. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know if you call it embarrassing that one developer has made, let's say, more games, first-party games than your entire. It's just, it feels like we're going around in circles again. It's like, hey, Xbox bought all these companies and they're not doing anything, and then here's Sony with their companies, they're making.
They bought one and they're going to have 5 games out by the end of 2024.
Yeah, and they're not short, they're not small games either. They're big games,
and they're all games that are arguably in the game of the year conversation from their respective years. Yeah, Miles is up there. Spider-Man was in 2018.
Ratchet & Clank this year.
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder.
Bet your bottom dollar that Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine will be there or thereabouts in 2023 and 2024 as well. So, yeah, I don't know. Good luck to them, I guess. Any other thoughts on the Xbox side in terms of what they need to do?
No, just more games. That seems to be the standard thing with the Xbox is more games.
Should they?
Or some games.
Yeah. Should they, and this is maybe showing my hand a little bit for when we start talking about PlayStation, should they be looking at locking down some third-party exclusives like what PlayStation's done? So like how they've managed to secure KOTOR, for example, or Final Fantasy VII Remake, or any of those sort of things?
Or if there was any, you could say.
I'm not saying they're going to get Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 because they're kidding themselves if they think they can get that from PlayStation. They would have signed a deal that was for 50 years, I'm sure, if they could find a way to do it. Like they would be still. I mean, I'm still shocked to this point that 7 Remake hasn't come out, but stuff like that though. Final Fantasy VII KOTOR, Final Fantasy 16 Forspoken, like they're locking down a whole bunch of little exclusive deals along the way. Do you think that's something that they need to start doing as well, or should they just sit tight and just wait for their teams to do their thing?
Only if it's like really ones that PlayStation really want. They just go, hey, we'll take that. Here's a big bag of money.
Bioshock?
Bioshock would be a good one.
Because obviously the other one Bioshock's on the way. There is a new one on the way. We don't know too much about it. I think most of us expected that we might have seen or heard something by now. Who knows? Game Awards is a month away, but
Gran Turismo. Nah.
Well, PlayStation owns that, so they can't do that.
Let's say Star Wars, but that's only exclusive.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously PlayStation's already locked down a Star Wars, so yeah, I don't know. Like that's I guess the KOTOR one is the big shock for a lot of people because KOTOR's a game that we all kind of associated with Xbox. Now I guess that's starting to change a little bit. I've been playing KOTOR on my Switch this past week, the original version of KOTOR on the Switch, but for them to steal, like for PlayStation to steal a game that's so obviously recognized as an Xbox game, stinks in the same way that, remember when everyone cracked the shits because Rise of the Tomb Raider was announced and was exclusive for Xbox for a while there? Because Tomb Raider for the longest time was kind of a PlayStation thing. Obviously started there, the first 5 or 6 games for PlayStation.
But then PlayStation got a 20-year exclusive edition.
What? Oh yeah, the 20th anniversary one. But I think that content outside of the VR stuff has made its way to Xbox as well.
But there is one game I just realised that Xbox should try and grab. Saints Row. Because that started off as an Xbox game.
It did.
Back in the day.
I think it's already too late in this case. I think they've already confirmed. Yeah, it's already multi-plat. But yeah, I know the sort you're talking about. And it'd be a good one to get for a bit of fun. I don't know. Do you think they need to get into that space at all, or should they just continue to just keep building out their studios and let that do the talking? Because they're going to have so many games soon.
I reckon just let them just keep doing what they're doing. I don't think they need to just go, right, we need an exclusive, because either way, it's still going to come there anyway. But
yeah, you have to assume eventually KOTOR will.
But that's, we got this exclusive. Then they can just say, we got Games Pass. We got 400 games we can play.
Yeah.
To your one.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it just depends on how important that one happens to be, which is maybe a good way to transition over to PlayStation anyway. I know you don't have one, But what have you made of what the PS5 has done in
Well,
the first year?
here's the funny thing, right? We've talked about this. I saw 2 in a store
Recently.
and here's the other thing. I was in EB the other day,
Oh, no.
and the other one guy, I was just getting my stuff, and the guy next to me is like, there's a massive line of about 10 people, and all he said was Xbox or PlayStation, because there was a whole heap of pre-orders happening.
Oh, yeah, they started doing pre-orders for in-store for this month even.
Yeah, and I just looked at it and went, oh yeah, cool. Didn't really think about like, oh, maybe I should pre-order one. It's just like, oh yeah,
Dickhead.
cool. No, all the good games are coming out end of next year. I don't need one.
Horizon is out in February. But yeah, sorry.
That's one game.
You need more. I get it. I can appreciate that. Ratchet and Returnal.
That's 3 games.
That's as many as
I was gonna say it's getting up there. That's like that is more than Xbox.
Gran Turismo's
That's
March.
right there.
So there's your
Gran
racing game.
Turismo, and Spider-Man and Wolverine. Oh, that's the year after.
Not to mention the stuff that's already there. Demon Souls.
Right.
Miles Morales.
Ooh. Yeah.
Sackboy.
Oh yeah, Sackboy.
Astrobot. They've gotten off to a good start. I don't want to go all Sony pony on the whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what have you made of that first year anyway?
Like you just said it, like they pretty much when it got released, it was like, right, release games, go. Just like throwing kids down a pool, the slidey pool at the water park. It's like, right, go. That's pretty much what it was. It was just, oh, Halo's delayed, right. See all these games, release them.
All of them
just
now,
all of
without
them,
issues.
But they're not ready. Just, I don't care, go.
To be fair, they didn't really have any issues with the games
there
being
was
ready
no
either.
issues. No, there's no issues at all because Cyberpunk came around and any issues there were didn't seem as bad as what Cyberpunk was, which was an absolute mess.
Shit show.
But no, like overall, you didn't hear any complaints. The only complaint, it was only a small one, which you did write about, which was, I think it was with Miles Morales. There was sort of an overheating issue when you.
Oh, some little issues at the very beginning.
Yeah,
I don't even know that was the game specifically. I think it was just a few consoles. The
always seemed to be
dodgy few that you get
Spider-Man,
at the
though.
beginning when you make millions of consoles and send them out to the world. There's always gonna be a few dodgy ones. But yeah, friend of the show Ryan Betson copped that, and then I copped the wrath of N4G and a 10-year ban. Dumb fucks.
Yes,
Still can't get over that.
But yeah, the bunch of
Abandon that
PlayStation
stupid
fanboys.
platform.
Bunch of PlayStation fanboys get upset, like, oh no, you can't say that.
You can't say that the consoles are having problems.
But if you just if you got a pen, right, and crossed out the word PlayStation, put Xbox,
they would have accepted that, and it would have been the
Would've
most
gone-
read piece on the site.
would have gone front page if they had a front page.
Yeah. Well, they do.
Well, there you go.
In a weird way. But yeah. Yeah, they look. Actually, I do kind of like your kid slide sort of thing, like just throwing them down, and they're kind of throwing them down in batches for the most part. Obviously, there was a huge chunk of them at the beginning there, another little clump of them towards the end. Like you can throw games like Kena Bridge of Spirits in there, which is exclusive as well.
Yes.
Final Fantasy VII Remake, which was obviously a 2020 game, but they remastered that and put the exclusive DLC in there as well, which is I think still to this day only exclusive on the PS5 version. So if you played on PS4, like they've and you were keen for that, they've forced your hand to go, well, if you want to get the other part of this DLC, you can't even just sit tight on the console you've got. You need to get a PS5, which is a bit of a shit strategy. Like, ethically, maybe a dodgy strategy from either Square Enix or Sony or both. But it's worked, I'm sure. I'm sure people have paid some of those ridiculous scalped prices to get themselves a PS5 because of that, because the Final Fantasy fans are... I'm one of them. We're nuts.
It's all about that door.
Oh yeah, they fixed the door. That's the most important thing. That's why we bought it, to see the door.
And then send it back.
Yeah.
No.
They've done an awesome job. And then, I mean, we didn't mention in there, but I know it's we kind of actually referenced it in the Xbox bit. There was Deathloop as well, which is the Bethesda title, and just kind of writing out that business deal. But like, that's pretty great that they could lock that down too. And it was an awesome game.
Yeah, considering I looked at it going, yeah, probably not a fan because what's Dishonored like? And I wasn't a fan of Dishonored, but a lot of people said it's a damn good game.
And it is. Yeah, like I'll attest to that. I need to get back to it and finish it, but I really, really enjoyed it. So they managed to get their own first party titles, and again that's where Demon Souls, as much as we're not Souls people, people lost their shit over that, and you add Miles Morales, and you add Sackboy, and you add Returnal, you add Ratchet and Clank, to then the likes of
Spider-Man as well.
And then you add that to the third party or indie exclusives they've locked down. Not too many on the indie side, but Kana does fit that bill. Solar Ash is out next month that fits that bill. Like they've made some good little business deals along the way to ensure that while we wait for Horizon and while we wait for God of War and Gran Turismo, that there's still a good little spread of high quality exclusives that you can still get your hands on. Which is where, like, I know some people, as a general, like, when I put my rational hat on, which is non Sony pony hat on, I hate what they've done with KOTOR.
Oh.
As a general consumer that's, or like a pundit when it comes to the industry and all that sort of thing, like someone who kind of sits on the side and commentates, I hate what they've done because it's not that it should be exclusive to Xbox, but it's Star Wars. Like, get it to everyone. Let alone the fact that it's KOTOR and it does have a legacy with Xbox. But then as a PlayStation guy though.
Sorry, I just realised what you were talking about KOTOR. I was just a little confused for a second. It's all right. I've got it now.
Yeah.
When you said the word Star Wars, like, that game.
Yeah, KOTOR.
Yeah, got it.
But then as someone who unabashedly sits on the PlayStation side of the fence, I'm cheering for these sorts of decisions. Not that I want Xbox's nose buried in the dirt. In fact, I want all three, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo, to all be flying because it's good for the whole industry when that's happening. But, if I do stick my little slightly biased hat on, slightly, quote unquote, I want to see more of these sorts of deals. Because I want to see, like, when I see more of these sorts of deals go on, that's more people that buy PlayStations. When more people buy PlayStations, I get more of the titles that I want. Not every single one of these third-party acquisitions or exclusive deals will be right up my alley. I hadn't actually played KOTOR until I played it on the Switch last week. Before, like, I've desperately wanted to, but I'd never played KOTOR until then.
And that was on the Switch.
Yeah, it just came out. Switch? Yeah, they announced it at Nintendo Direct a few months ago, and it just came to the Switch a few days ago. Thank you to Sandbox for providing me a code for that too, by the way.
So is it like the old 2002 version, or have they...
I mean, they've up-resed it a little bit. Like, it looks a little bit better. But it's nothing. It doesn't look amazing, but it's KOTOR, and I'm really, like, it's the storytelling that people love about KOTOR, so I am enjoying what I've played from it so far. And
that's how Mass Effect was born.
More or less, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm sure the further I get into it, the more I'll see how obvious that is. But the more we get those sorts of deals, the more money PlayStation has to continue to invest in its first parties. And I don't necessarily mean to go and buy more studios or that sort of thing, because I'd like both Xbox and PlayStation to just slow down a little bit there. Like, we've done a lot of this stuff.
Well, I don't think Sony needs to buy any more studios. I think they've got enough.
Like they're already all guns blazing as is.
Yeah, they've got Insomniac, which you said, it's going to have 5 games out by the end of next year. They've got Naughty Dog, which pretty much doesn't make a rubbish game.
Yeah.
There's another one I just completely... Guerrilla.
Insomniac, Guerrilla with Horizon, Santa Monica with God of War.
Santa Monica, yes.
Yeah. No, they've got all the... I think the best thing for them is actually to, instead of buy more, is to just expand the ones you've got. Like, create a second team within Naughty Dog. And I don't mean like what they tried to do when they tried to have Uncharted 3 and The Last of Us going, and that kind of, as much as both games were exceptional, it didn't quite work for the morale of the studio and all the workers. Like, straight up hire 100 more people, which takes a while, but hire 100 new people. You got Neil Druckmann on one side supervising one team, and you got someone else on the other side supervising the other, and those two teams are just humming along creating 2 different games. Same sort of idea at the other studios. Like, that could work. So
yeah, see, Insomniac's doing it, so they see how...
Yeah, they do it easy.
They can't do it.
They've got like 3 or 4 teams. One of them was a VR team, and they were doing VR for Oculus, so I'm wondering it's just how long until the VR 2 gets some Insomniac support. But yeah, I think the more of those sort of deals, the more it gets people in the door, which means that the stuff that people who buy PlayStation really, really want So again, the God of Wars and all the Insomniac titles and the Naughty Dog titles, the more of those we can see as a result. So that's my slightly biased take that actually helps support the core PlayStation business that's not biased. It's just what they do and what they do really well. But the year itself, like they've been good at listening to feedback from stupid shit like when they were going to shut down the PS3 and Vita stores and got put in their place about that and backflipped within the space of a week. When people pointed out the fact that even though it wasn't directly said when they were announcing kind of the way that their cross-gen stuff was going to work, and they recently said that Horizon you were going to have to pay an extra $10 for to take your PS4 version to your PS5 version.
So they're doing the old Xbox trick now.
Yeah, well, the eagle-eyed fans noticed the fact though that when they actually announced the initiative in the first place, that while they didn't specifically say Horizon, the video showed Horizon in it. So like, you promised us Horizon, they're going, oh, okay, good point, I guess, but this is the last time. And then stress that God of War and Gran Turismo, if you were to get them on PS4, you would have to pay an extra $10 to transfer it over to the PS5, or $10 it might be more for us, I don't know. But
so they are doing the old Xbox One trick where they made fun of them for doing it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's
like
dodgy shit.
Give your game to a friend. Here you go. Thanks. That was it. That was the whole.
Yeah, pretty much. They've kind of fallen on their own sword. But I guess I'm going to guess that God of War is probably the last game that does that. I think after that, the games are just going to get so powerful that they just can't
go back.
They may not be able to run on the PS4. Like, there just might be no going back. Could be wrong. We'll see what happens there. But what else do they do? Like, I know it's a smaller part of the thing, but even all the feedback they received about the way that the trophy system was working in terms of like how everything was assembled and how it wasn't necessarily the most legible and easy to comprehend and understand, and so they heard the feedback and basically just flipped everything from what was vertical to horizontal. From horizontal to vertical, and it just made everything a lot easier for people to access and read and get as much information as possible without having to scroll forever. Just lots like they've done it actually a good job of listening to the community and responding. I don't think that's Jim Ryan. I'll never acknowledge Jim Ryan as having done the right thing.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, unsurprisingly. He's a businessman. He wants to squeeze every dollar out of people. He's the one that's driving these decisions, and then has to just fine, all right, when their community teams and social teams and all that come back and say, no, mate, everyone hates it, change it. And that's when he knuckles under.
And that would explain why there's so many goddamn remasters coming on the PS5.
Yeah.
Grand Theft 4, though.
Let's wait and see what happens with The Last of Us. Like, it's only a matter of time with that remake, apparently.
The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, it's going to happen. And I can appreciate it. Like, fine, like, squeeze whatever money you think you can out of people, as long as it's not compromising your new products, as long as we're not stuck waiting for The Last of Us Part 3 or the next, whatever the next Naughty Dog game is, simply because you're putting out a remake of remaster of Uncharted 4 or The Last of Us or whatever. If it's nothing's affecting your current stuff, then I'm okay with it. Do what you want, and people just choose to buy it or not. But your focus dropped out. There we go. Look, overall they're doing a really good job. It's the most responsive they've been in a while. They have picked up some cool new teams. Obviously, Insomniac was a while ago, but they've picked up a couple cool new teams over the course of the year. Bluepoint and Housemarque being the two biggest ones, obviously, in terms of what people are looking for from them. So I'm keen to see what happens next, especially with Bluepoint, because they've been a remake team for years, but they are trying to make it seem as though they're doing their own thing. I don't know. And we'll just make sure to throw their association with Abandoned straight out the window. That's the one big black mark for me this year. The fact that they've associated themselves with that Abandoned bullshit, and they have not stepped in at any point and said, no, like, we're out. You're screwing with people here. You're giving everyone the shits. This is bad, bad, bad. Get away. They haven't done that.
Kojima?
It's not Kojima. There's no way it's Kojima. Still not official, but there's no way it's Kojima.
Well, not anymore, it's not.
Well, we just need Kojima to say it's not me. Like, that would be the nicest thing that he could do, put everyone out of their misery, but it's not him. It's not him. Surely. And PlayStation's associated with the thing, and that's just what's annoying me the most. Like, they've given him a platform, they need to take that platform away. Kick him to the curb. What do you...
If you say so. Go on.
What do you think that they need to do over the next 12 months? Obviously, we've mentioned 3 big titles that they do have, kind of locked in. Well, God of War less so, but 2 out of the 3 locked in already for early in the year. What do you think PlayStation needs to do in the next 12 months? What would they need to do that actually gets you to buy a console?
That comes in black.
And not just go, huh? What? When you're walking out of EB one day.
That it comes in black. Or
I'll just give them a black paint.
Or it's like the Horizon limited edition one.
Oh. So if there's a Horizon console, you're in.
If I can get it, yeah. Unless those bloody scalpers come in and just ruin my day.
Mate, I'll get you one and then I'll pre-order one for myself at the same time.
Oh yeah, we got connections.
Oh no, I was still talking about doing things legit. Couldn't rule out that certain retailers that I may have an in with, I'm not even going to assume that they're going to necessarily get it. I'll just, like, whoever has it, I'll get it somehow.
We'll hunt you down. No, we won't.
Yeah, I'll hunt you down.
I'll find some poor kid on the street who just purchased it and just jump him and trade it out for and just swap it out for a normal PS5 and be on my way.
Sounds like an option.
With no controller.
Yeah.
Just like Back to the Future.
So that's all it's going to take for you. So really, I guess in your eyes, they are doing a lot of things right. Then you're pretty happy with the direction they're going, and it's just that you need the last couple of pieces come into place for you to then buy it.
Yeah, I mean they got, like I said, they got some good games, but it's just not enough yet to convince me.
Fair enough, because they don't have a Game Pass at the same time.
I don't care about that. I don't think they need it when they've got exclusive first-party games anyway.
No, but I mean, like, I'd argue, and call me out if I'm wrong here. Trying to imagine the situation a little bit. Like, there are some really good games. There's more exclusives on PlayStation than Xbox at the moment. So yeah. I'd have to imagine that, like, one of the tilting things was either for you, and again, I'm just trying to imagine a little bit here. Like, I'm more into Halo and Forza and that sort of thing. The promise of that than Ratchet, Spider-Man, etc. Returnal. So on and so forth, or it's about the same, like, because they're kind of about the same, but maybe you give PlayStation a slight edge. But Game Pass means I can get all this other stuff at the same time.
All the first party games are day one.
I don't have to pay a cent for them day one, and then there's all this other stuff that they just pick up along the way.
There is that.
Yeah, so it does seem like Game Pass might have been one of the key determining factors. It is the best thing. It is the best part of this generation.
Yeah, until PlayStation bring out their, what is it, PlayStation Now or
whatever happens with Now or Plus or whatever they do. They're planning a competitor somehow. The other variable, and I don't think it's necessary, well, again, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if it's necessarily going to have a huge impact for you, but 2022 is meant to see the PSVR 2 come out. So that's that's a big thing for the end of next year, presumably. So again, maybe Insomniac's a part of that because they do have history with VR stuff. London Studios done a whole lot of stuff there. Not to mention all the third parties and that sort of thing. Like, would PSVR 2 be something that you're potentially interested in? Especially like we're not using the wands anymore. Like they're moving away and using proper VR controls, like what we see.
No ice cream sticks.
No ice cream sticks anymore. We're seeing proper technology like what we see from the Oculus and from the Valve Index and all that sort of thing.
So the old little thumb things.
Yeah, but also like there's those little rings on the end. I don't know. Yeah. I don't really understand how the technology works. I'm a bit of a scrub in that sense, but I just haven't played them on PC, so I don't know. Like, does that interest you, or is it that really like give me some cool games, give me Half-Life Alyx, and we're talking?
Yeah, I'll get the VR one of these days. It's just, at the moment, there's not much there.
Yeah.
There are some good things. I know there's Beat Saber. Everyone loves Beat Saber.
Job and Vacation Simulator.
Even Surgeon Simulator if they got it on there.
Yeah, that's right.
That'd be a lot better than trying to do it with the control, because that is a pain trying to do that.
Yeah, fair.
Just any simulator game would be fine. You can give me Checkout Simulator if they haven't got that yet.
Oh, it'll be, yeah. If it's not there yet, it'll be there soon.
There we go. I'm in. If it's Checkout Simulator, just scan some items, and throw it back at the customer.
I can get around that.
Just throw some eggs and don't know what else you'd throw at them. Package of chips, donuts. I was gonna say,
Throw eggs at them and then a whole bunch of flour.
oh, that's a good idea. I didn't think about the flour.
Yeah, you got to have something to like the eggs there and then stick the flour to it. Have I
There you go.
considered being an arsehole to a customer before? I don't know. I've never worked in retail, so clearly not.
So, well, if it's not there and anyone's listed, make me a VR checkout simulator.
That is a joke one, not a real one.
Not a real one.
Can you imagine how boring that would be?
Let's go beep, beep, beep. Come on, if it had a
it'll be the modern one too. So it'll just be you standing there in the self-service area, just watching people, not even actually doing.
There we go. Oh, there's a whole heap of levels.
That's easy mode.
Then easy mode. Just watch someone run out.
Watch someone do nothing.
Someone put a sticker
the
on.
achievements and trophies roll in.
Watch someone just get an expensive item and put an Apple's barcode on it, so they pay $2.50 for it.
I don't know. Yeah, look, VR 2 is a big deal for me. Moss 2 is already on the way. I don't think that's a VR 2 title. I think that's just an original PSVR game. But the VR support's dropped off a little bit this year. I think that's mostly because a lot of developers are starting to turn their sights to the next bit of technology. So I'm keen. I'm keen to get on that one next year. But any other thoughts on PlayStation before we wrap that and this episode up?
I reckon PlayStation's doing a pretty good job as is. And again, no mechanical failures from them as well. No jet
Red
engine
rings.
fans. No red. There's no such. That's an Xbox thing. Really dead. No. Like your old PS4 Pro. Just
The jet engine.
Jet engine. No
Look,
overheating.
it could still happen. It's early days. It could still happen.
Yeah. So I think that's the most surprising thing of this whole year is that both consoles haven't heard anything about faults or problems or anything. Is usually within the first 2 months. It's usually, this is broken down. This is overheated. This thing doesn't work anymore.
The one thing that I hear a little bit about every now and then is the DualSense controller itself. And I guess that's actually, I should note that that's like one of the coolest things about this generation with what it's doing with the haptics and the adaptive triggers and all those sorts of things. But there is a little bit of drift with the sticks.
Oh no,
that
Joy-Cons.
people are reporting, like the Joy-Con drift. And the very rare case where, like, because of I think the adaptive triggers and those sort of things and the fact that it resists a little bit, a few people are like breaking their triggers as a result because like they kind of push through when it's not really necessarily designed to and the motor goes on the trigger, stuff like that.
Oh.
I'm hearing just like it's very, very small number of cases, but it might be a potential thing for others to keep their eye out for, especially the drift side of things. There might be something to look out for with the PS5 controllers. Maybe the Xbox ones get drift as well. I don't know, but just a few stories of that. So we'll see what happens. I had no idea what people were talking about with drift for ages until Angelica, my wife's Switch Joy-Con started doing like this thing. So I just stand still and I stop moving the stick and the character keeps walking.
Just goes on autopilot. It just turns left. Does the Zoolander.
It wasn't great. Like I tried, it was pretty shit. Like I can see why people hated it. So then, when I traded in all those Switches recently, I made sure to give them all the dodgy controls.
Don't tell them that.
Sucked. Too late now. Sucked into whoever bought my pre-owned Switch. Anyway, we'll wrap things up there. If you enjoyed this episode of Patch, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. All the buttons down below. Hit the notification bell. That way you're alerted to every new video the moment it goes live on the channel. That includes more Patched, Player 2 Plays, Gamer School, and a whole bunch more. Some awesome stuff there, so please subscribe and go and check it out. Whole bunch of Player 2 Plays this week from some really cool games, new releases, and the likes. Go see all that as well. Visit the website, player2.net.au, for reviews, previews, opinion pieces, news, features, links to the podcast series, Patched, the Player 2 Pixelcast, and Dev Diary. Again, lots of reviews and potentially even a preview. I'm not going to say any more. Going up this week. There's some really cool stuff going on the site at the moment. I've got a few reviews and pieces that I've got to get out the door that I'm really planning to get out the door this week as well. So keep your eyes out for all of that. We're on Patreon, patreon.com/player2au, kicking a few bucks, lower tiers early access, high tiers monthly episode exclusives, and finally there's Twitter. Matto?
Matto_Phil.
Paul James Games for me. The website's player2au. And until next week, we'll see you later.